all of the nurses, clinicians, service members of the National Guard who are here today. For the past 3 weeks, our synagogue has proudly helped more than 600 seniors and 50 Holocaust survivors obtain appointments for the COVID-19 vaccine. And words can hardly express how meaningful this effort has been. After all this time apart, so deeply rewarding and tremendously fulfilling to finally see the smiling eyes of our older congregants, to hear the sigh of relief in their voices, and to enable them to see each other as many received the vaccine together. It's been a labor of love. It's been a mitzvah, which is a Jewish commandment, an act of chesed, compassionate kindness, and a source of nachas, which I hope I don't have to translate for all of you. Now, you may wonder why we and many others in the faith community have been doing this. And it's because our faith teaches us that when one life is saved, it's as if the entire world has been saved. And I know that this teaching is shared in Christianity and Islam. Our Torah commands us, interestingly enough, this week in our weekly Torah portion, to honor our parents. It's one of the top 10, and by extension, our grandparents. As Jews, we are taught to stand up before those with gray hair, to honor the face of the elderly. The Bible implores us, do not cast me off in old age. When my strength fails, do not forsake me. We believe that helping seniors to receive this life-saving vaccine is a manifestation of all these religious teachings and obligations. Our tradition also teaches us to care for the disadvantaged. News of recent statistics that vaccinations are not equally reaching many economically challenged communities or people of color, it calls us as people of faith to rectify this wrong. So I am grateful to my friends and my colleagues and fellow spiritual leaders here today who have joined with us in this interfaith vaccination effort. Pastor Rich Wilkerson, Pastor Linda Freeman, Pastor Michael Anderson, Imam Dr. Abdul Samra, and of course our own Rabbi Guido Cohen. We, all of our faith communities, have had to reimagine what together looks like during this nearly year-long pandemic. Today's effort is one where we can proudly practice what we preach. We all hope and pray that soon we will have the opportunity to assist additional members of our community with vulnerabilities. God willing, those one day soon who are under the age of 65. I want to thank our synagogue president, Ronnie Fertig, our many synagogue volunteers, community leaders who have helped us. Thank you to our synagogue professional staff, to our tireless director of synagogue operations, Suzanne Aru Rodriguez, without whom none of these now 1,100 and counting life-saving moments could have happened. May we go from strength to strength, from sickness to health. May we all be safely together again soon, as we all say amen. Please join me in welcoming our own governor, Governor Ron DeSantis.
Well, thank you, Rabbi, and thanks for stepping up and really leading this effort, which is, which I'll say a few more words about in a minute. I actually have two announcements today. The first announcement is I just returned from a condo complex in Aventura because we did the inaugural Homebound seniors vaccination pilot project launch today. And so what we're doing is dedicating 1,500 doses a week to be able to bring COVID-19 vaccines to seniors who may be homebound or may have difficulty traveling. We try to get the vaccines out to folks in a convenient way, but not everyone can go to a drive-through site. Not everyone can go to the hospital. Some have family who can help them. Not everyone has that all the time. And so we thought it was important to fill a niche. Now, some hospitals have been doing this, and some of the county health departments have been. This is another effort in that direction to be able to make sure that folks aren't left behind. And so what we're doing, and I think it's fitting to say that, to say this here at the synagogue, is we wanted to figure out a way where we could be impactful. So the first 750 doses we're bringing to homebound seniors who are Holocaust survivors. And so I was with a Holocaust survivor in Aventura, Judy Roden, and you know, she was orphaned. She was in Auschwitz. She escaped, and thankfully has been able to live a long and fruitful life, but everyone else in her family was taken, killed in the Holocaust. And so these are folks that, when we did Seniors First, we did it because if you look at the effects of this virus, the mortality is concentrated in people who are 65 and up. And if we can vaccinate all the seniors who want it, that's the best tool we have to reduce mortality and to save lives. But we also thought that, we owe our seniors. We owe people like Judy and these other Holocaust survivors for serving as inspirations to so many people in my generation and hopefully in my kids' generation. We're thankful for what they mean to this country and what they have done and how they remind us to never forget. We're going to be doing more of those, and I want to thank some of the community groups here in South Florida. We worked with the Jewish Family Service organizations in South Florida, Holocaust Documentation Center in Hollywood, to be able to identify folks who would be in need of this and would qualify. And then we will continue to do this program in other parts of the state. Obviously in Florida, not every part of the state has a lot of Holocaust survivors, so we'll look at other ways to be able to make an impact. But Judy was great, and she's got a great story, and we were happy to be able to bring her the Pfizer vaccine. And of course, the second announcement is why we're here today. So far, we've done 25 vaccine events at places of worship throughout the state, and that's vaccinated over 13,000 individuals. Usually we do them on Sundays, although not always. But this one today is the first faith event where we're doing it interfaith. So you have folks from all walks of life, all different faiths coming together. So we have 175 members of this synagogue. We have 175 members of the Islamic Center of Greater Miami, and we have 175 members of Trinity Church, all coming together to provide vaccines for seniors. And I want to thank all the religious leaders for working together and putting our seniors first. I think it's going to make an incredible difference, and we're going to continue to be doing these events with places of worship. We'll do more this weekend, and we're going to continue doing that. The Rabbi also mentioned making sure it gets in underserved areas. Yesterday, I was out in Pahokee, which is right on Lake Okeechobee, probably as far west in Palm Beach County as you can go. My secretary of the lottery, John Davis, grew up there, and he was a great football player. Now he's the secretary, and he was reached out to by one of the folks he knows who's a great football player as well, Anquan Bolden. They needed to get some more vaccine there. They didn't have a Publix. It was far away. So we went ahead and went out there and did it, and everyone was really happy, and that's what we're looking to do. I mean, we're looking to serve in the most effective ways that we can. So today, I think it's a great day. I think it's exciting. I think it's going to help a lot of seniors here. But we are continuing to put seniors first. We have reported over 1.3 million seniors to receive a shot. The reporting, I remind people, is days behind. So we've probably had certainly tens of thousands more have gotten the shot, maybe even more than that. Of all the vaccines administered in Florida, close to 75% of the shots have gone to senior citizens. And that is the right priority. I look at some of the places. There was something about one of the major cities in the north who had 18% of their vaccinations had gone to seniors. Well, come on, if you want to save lives, you got to get the vaccines to senior citizens. So that's what we've done. We've done about 30% of all seniors have received at least one shot. And of course, we have 4.5 million seniors, so that's a lot of folks to be able to get through. But in terms of the 1.3 million plus reported shots for seniors, that's the most in the country, and it's not even close. I think the next closest state is about 800,000. So we're going to continue to lead on that. What you're starting to see now, and what I said last week would happen, is the second doses for seniors first are coming due. So you're seeing tens of thousands on a daily basis, seniors getting their second shot. The Pfizer started really kicking in last week. Now Moderna's kicking in, because 28 days ago is when you started to really see seniors in the community getting shots at greater numbers. So that's a really, really good thing. The second dose is something that we are 100% committed to as a state. I know seniors always have questions about that, because I think people say different things. But I can tell you, when the federal government sends us the doses on a weekly basis, and I say we had 266,000, which we had been getting. This week we got 307,000. Those get distributed, combination of hospitals, pharmacies, county health departments, state-supported sites. We've got 350, 400 sites across the state, one in every county at least, where people can get it. So we do that. We also get second doses that get sent, but they go to the places where you did the first dose, and we are not going to take away people's second doses. And so it was said, well, there's doses in the hospital, or there's doses here. Yeah, those are scheduled to be administered. You have people that have already get their card, they make the appointment. We want those doses to be there for them. In order to get 95% efficacy, you have to do both doses for Pfizer and Moderna. To do one does give you some protection. It's better than nothing for sure. But I think most seniors really want to make sure they get the protection of those second doses. And when you're talking about a 95% efficacy, I mean, that really saves lives, keeps people out of the hospital. And even in the small event you get infected, it's almost always been very, very mild, which is really, really good. So we want to continue to just stress the second doses are important. When those come, those are going to the places where you got your first dose. If you have the appointment, if the federal government just didn't send it to us, that'd be one thing. But as long as they're sending it, it's not going to be diverted. It's going to be there for you. So we're now looking to see what we're going to be able to get next week for first doses. And we think that we're going to see another modest but important increase, and that's going to allow us to do some more things, and we're looking forward to doing that. I know there have been a lot of places that have done really, really well. We also finally think that we will see the federal pharmacy program turned on. So we've been waiting for this for a number of weeks. The federal pharmacy program will take doses not involving the state allocation and send them directly to specified pharmacies. And so in Florida, we're looking at Walmart, we're looking at Winn-Dixie, and we're looking at Publix as three that could be able to handle that. So hopefully we'll have some announcements on that at the beginning of the week, but that will be able to expand the footprint further, which would be very, very good for folks. We did expand starting today the Publix footprint to include Pinellas and Pasco counties over in the Tampa Bay area. And so when you're going to get your Super Bowl snacks to watch Tom Brady bring home his 7th Super Bowl, you can go ahead and potentially get your COVID vaccine. We're looking forward to that. So we now have well over 300 public pharmacies in 23 counties, and we're looking to expand that if we can. If the doses are there, we want to be able to expand it. Obviously, if you have Walmart and Winn-Dixie in the mix, that's really good as well. So we're working with them to be able to make that happen. But this is something that's really important. So modest increase in doses, we think, next week, which would be good. We think federal pharmacy program very, very soon, which would be good. Those are tens of thousands of extra doses to each of those places on a weekly basis, we think, which is really good. And then we're going to probably have this week the emergency use application for the Johnson & Johnson vaccine. So the Johnson & Johnson vaccine, the data came in, and this is kind of the perils with sometimes looking at headlines. The headlines were less effective than Pfizer and Moderna. And basically how they got that was they did in their worldwide study, it was higher in the US, but worldwide they think it was 66% efficacy in terms of preventing any infection. And obviously Pfizer and Moderna is 95%, so that much is true. But Johnson & Johnson, after 28 days, according to their data, 100% effective at preventing death, and almost 100% effective, practically 100% effective at preventing hospitalization. So to me, that is a heck of a thing to have in our arsenal. If you take the Johnson & Johnson and you know a month later, you'll either not get infected, or the worst that'll happen is you'll have some cold-like symptoms for a couple days, but you ain't going to the hospital, and you certainly aren't going to be in a life-threatening situation. That's an arrow in the quiver that I want to have. So we think that the application is going to be submitted this week. Fast forward 7 to 10, whenever they submit it, count between 7 and 14 days. I'd say probably about 10 days before FDA meets and hopefully gets the approval. But there is some vaccine that will be ready and should be shipped the next day. That's what they did with Pfizer. That's what they did with Moderna. We don't know how much that's going to be, but that is something that is one dose. You don't have to worry about getting your booster. It doesn't require the real deep freeze like Pfizer does, or even any freezing like Moderna does. So just in terms of, and Florida's done a really good job, and the hospitals have done great. They've all done well, almost without exception, at preserving these, but the less stringent the storage requirements, the less likely you're going to have any of this stuff spoil. So I think that that's something that we're really looking forward to. We want to get it out. There was also reports today that Pfizer is going to be able to accelerate some of the doses that we thought may not come till June. They think maybe they'll have it by May, tens of millions additional doses for the United States. So all that being said, we see a lot of great movement. There should be a lot of, I think, cause for optimism. If you look nationwide, not just in Florida, although it's true in Florida, emergency room visits for COVID, hospitalized patients for COVID, all this stuff is going down all across our country. That's probably more of just the seasonal pattern of this thing. But if we continue on these vaccines, then it's not going to be able to have a resurgence at that point as we get into March and April, and obviously over the summer, where we had our worst outbreak was in the Sun Belt over the summer. So it's really, really significant to keep up the momentum, and I know folks are working all around the state to do so, so I want to thank them. But we're getting a lot of good news on this, and we're going to continue until every senior gets a shot who wants it. We're going to be there every day plugging away, and we're going to continue to put seniors first. I also want to be able to recognize, we have our Lieutenant Governor here, we have Mayor Cava from Miami-Dade County, both obviously Jeanette's from Miami-Dade, and then we've appreciated partnering with Mayor Cava on a lot of these vaccine initiatives, as well as some of our environmental initiatives. And so I wanted to give her the opportunity to come up. We think that once we get all the numbers, we think we may be able to do more in Dade County next week between all the different things that may be coming down the pike. And I know Dade has had the most vaccines, but I think we got to do a lot more. And so we're looking forward to doing that. So, Mayor?
Thank you. Well, thank you so much, Governor, for coming down and for this initiative. Lieutenant Governor, to Rabbis Birkin and Cohn here at this beautiful sanctuary, to Pastor Wilkerson, Pastor Anderson, Pastor Freeman, Imam Samra. Truly, we are all in this together, and we will get through this pandemic. Thank you. I want to say that it's very personal for me to be here today at the Turnberry Aventura Jewish Center. I walked through the Hall of Remembrance of the Holocaust to come up to this bima, and I have family members who survived the Holocaust. I have family members who did not. I had the opportunity on the March of the Living to visit so many of the sites of the Holocaust, and this is deeply, deeply personal for me. I think it's really so important that we work across faiths to provide the comfort and care that our community needs during these very, very difficult times. We stand ready here in Miami-Dade County to vaccinate all of our seniors, all of our people with special health needs, all of our essential workers, and everybody. We have the capacity, we have the distribution mechanism, we just need the vaccine. And we're very grateful for efforts to bring us more vaccine, and happy to stand here today for this important multi-faith effort. Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
All right. Well, thank you, Mayor, and we do look forward. I think we will have even more options. Again, modest. It's not going to be. I think Miami could double or triple what they're doing on a weekly basis if we had unlimited vaccine. Heck, the Hard Rock, we could do 3 or 4 lanes on that, and I know that's true in a lot of places throughout the state. But I do want to commend the mayor, the county. They've worked really hard. They've got a lot of great folks. Some of the hospital systems like Jackson have just been a machine. And I think they've blown through most of their first doses very quickly. And again, we want to continue to do it. And then the hospitals like Jackson, they're really the point for the folks who are really vulnerable because of underlying health conditions to COVID. That was in the executive order originally in December, that the hospitals would be able to do it. I know they've gone, and a lot of them have gone and done cancer patients, some of these others. And so we think that that's really good, and we really trust them to be able to make those decisions. And so finally, I'll just say again, last year we had the Super Bowl in Miami. It was a little bit different world then. It was a well done. Everyone here did such a great job. And I said that the Kansas City Chiefs were going to win. That was my prediction. And I just try to call it like I see it. And I got to say that there's just something about this playoff run for the Bucs. I watched the game earlier this year, Chiefs and Bucs, and it was not pretty for Tampa. As a lifelong Bucs fan, was not pretty. But it wasn't pretty when New Orleans beat them during the regular season. It was pretty nice to watch them beat New Orleans in the playoffs. No one thought they'd be able to beat Green Bay and Lambeau. And so my prediction is that Sunday night, Tom Brady is going to be holding up the Lombardi Trophy for the 7th time. And I think that will rival. I think Florida will then be able to say the two greatest achievements on a team sport basis in NFL history: the undefeated Dolphins and Brady at age 43 bringing home the hardware for Tampa Bay. So, a young kid, when they had the orange uniforms, we never thought they'd ever be good. They won in 2003. It was like a huge deal. It's been a lot of time in the wilderness, and so if we're able to get that done, it'll be really, really nice. Michael.
Governor, thank you very much. Can I ask you to amplify a little bit? You mentioned earlier, but we live in divided times. People are angry. There are political, economic divisions. Here we have a rabbi, a synagogue, an imam, the ministers, the pastors from these Christian churches. Is this really kind of a step towards unity that we all need? Is it not?
So I think it's a great question, Michael. The division you see on social media on some of those things, it can kind of consume, and society thinks, and I'm not going to say there's not divisions there, but in people's daily life, they want to look out for one another. They want to make sure that our seniors are getting vaccines. They understand how important this is. And it doesn't matter what tradition you come from. You want to be there for the folks that really matter. And so I think it's great. But quite frankly, when times get tough, when there is a need to get together and respond, Floridians always find a way to do it. And I can tell you, the mayor, we've worked on this. We don't care about the politics of it. When I was in Pahokee, they said the same thing. Who cares? Stop worrying about the politics. Let's do it. Once every senior who wants a vaccine gets it, then if you want to start doing politics, not that we don't have work after that, fine. But this is really, really important. And I think that leading on this, look, this is a tough thing. I mean, to say that if you just do this, something will happen with the virus, it's tough to say that because there's been a lot of states that have done a lot of things that have just totally failed. But I think we can say if we have certain vaccines and we get them to seniors, you're going to have more lives saved than if you don't do that. And so if we come together to do it, we're going to be able to save lives here in the state of Florida, and not just saving, which is very important, but really reinvigorating people's lives who are more elderly, because some of them have really withdrawn and haven't been able to do a lot of the things that they've liked. And we run the gamut in terms of how outgoing people have been throughout this and whatnot. But the things that I see when I go to these sites, when I see tears coming down the face of elderly residents getting their shot, the reason why they're doing that is because they've been waiting to get back to a sense of normalcy. They've been waiting to be able to do the things they used to do with not the fear of this pathogen out there. And that's really what it's all about. And so the fact that you have Jewish, Christian, Muslim coming together to do this, it's the right thing to do. Just like we're working with the mayor, we're working with other folks throughout the state to be able to deliver these. As soon as we get them, we want them to go in a way that's the most effective. Yes, sir.
Governor, can you give some advice to seniors, perhaps, because we get calls to the station all the time about how difficult it is to get not just the first dose appointment, but the second dose, because seniors are getting the first dose, and then they get a card or something telling them to go back, and they show up, they wait 5 hours, they can't get the second dose. There seems to be a disconnect between the first dose and that second dose. Does the state have a plan to set up a phone line or something, some way to inform these seniors as to how to get that second dose without it being so confusing for so many?
Well, it shouldn't be, that confusing. It depends, I guess, how they're doing it. I mean, I can tell you that, for example, Publix, they do the first shot. Yeah, you get the card, and then you do get an appointment. I know most of the hospitals throughout Florida have done that. That obviously is the way that you need to go. We have asked when some of the counties wanted assistance with being able to book appointments online. We've been able to create a system to do that for them. Now, not all counties want it, which is fine. So you do that. We've taken, in just what the state has supported, close to 1 million phone calls just in the last 3 or 4 weeks because people do have questions. And so if you got a vaccine from a site, a Publix, a hospital, that card and that appointment, that needs to be honored. And so I'm going to have my folks look at some of those concerns. I can tell you, though, if you look at the numbers, and these numbers aren't even up to date, but just in the last couple days, we're doing 35, 40, 45,000 second doses administered in Florida. Those numbers keep growing as it continues to get populated. I think you're going to have, if we look about a week from now and we look back at this week, you're going to have 50, 60, 70,000 second doses given in a day. I will also say, and I'm not necessarily saying the folks you're talking about, but we have had some missed appointments. We've had folks who've booked appointments in multiple places around the state. We've had some folks who haven't shown up for the second dose. And so what we would tell folks is if you have an appointment, so try to honor that appointment because that's something that another person would really, really want. If you've gotten the first dose and you have an appointment for the second, get the second dose. I think most people really want the second dose, but it's not a one-shot deal. Johnson & Johnson would be a one-shot deal, so just hang in there for that. So the hospitals are getting doses, but they're not getting nearly the many as they did initially. We were only allowed to give to 5 hospitals with the Pfizer. And then because we were doing the doctors and nurses and frontline healthcare workers, that was obviously the best place to be able to do that. Once we got into the new year, we really were encouraging them to, well, we started doing it in December, but we really encouraged them to get the seniors vaccinated. So they started to do more and more with that. Now we're sending, and I think many of them have done a great job. I mean, Jackson has done a great job. Memorial in Broward has done a great job. I get people writing into me. Cleveland Clinic has done a great job. They talk about Orlando Health, Tampa General. A lot of these places have really done a good job. So they're going to continue to be a part of it. But I think if you look in the last couple weeks, how the doses have gone, it's not as hospital heavy, not because they're not doing a good job, it's just because we have so much throughput that we're trying to satisfy. So you have the ability to spread it out with Publix because not every place in Florida has massive healthcare infrastructure like Miami-Dade does or like Broward County does. And so you try to do that, and particularly in areas that have higher population of seniors. But the hospitals are going to continue to be an important part of this. One, you don't have to worry about the store. They know how to store this stuff. They know how to handle it. It's a great place, and a lot of them have different satellites where they work from. So I think they're going to continue to be an important part of it. But what we've also said is, look, if one thing's doing real well, then let's do that. And so I think you're going to see if we do get more doses next week above this week, we're going to look at Hard Rock Stadium expansion. We'll look at the Villages expanding there, and we'll look at some of these places which have made an impact. But what I found is all seniors have different preferences. They all have different capacity to be able to do. That's why we did the Homebound senior program. And so I think having a mix is the best way to do it. If you have all your eggs in one basket, something goes wrong, then you have some serious hiccups. When we have it with all the different, I mean, we're close to 400 individual sites where you can go throughout the Florida, at least one in all 67 counties. If something happens in one county, you can remedy that, but that's not going to hold everyone else hostage.
Governor, the COVID response team has said that when it comes to the first dose,
I'll do you next. Go ahead. Yep.
the COVID response team says that when it comes to the, that first dose, that states can give out that second dose. They guarantee that they'll send one. Where's the disconnect? Is it just
So you're saying if we just started using the second dose, we have some type of guarantee that will be?
Yes, they've been saying all week.
Who's been saying that?
The COVID response team, the White House.
Yeah, I mean, look, I'll talk to my guys about it. I mean, the fact is we don't know how many doses we're getting for sure until probably Friday or Saturday of a given week beforehand. We get the shipping information on Sunday usually, and then it usually hits on Monday or Tuesday. And so the issue is okay, are you going to just give out all the second doses? Then what happens to some of these folks if they come and then next week's shipment's light or it doesn't come? But here's the thing too, there really wasn't much of a delay in this. There was the big Moderna drop that happened at Christmas time. That was not given very fast because it was Christmas and New Year's. And so you had the hospitals were light. As soon as the calendar changed, man, they started ripping through it. So now that Pfizer or the Moderna second dose that came in probably January 25th-ish, that's now really taken off. And so those are going to be depleted very soon. So I don't even think it's going to be an issue because I think that we will have moved through enough of people's second doses to where we'll be using the first doses, the second dose will be coming. Maybe there's a lag of a day or two, but once we get another week into this, I don't think you're even going to have the liberty to do that because I think there's just going to be so many people that are scheduled for their second doses that you're not going to be able to wait a full week to be able to hope that you get more second doses. But look, at the end of the day, if I had a guarantee of here's what you're going to get for the next month, ironclad, then we obviously would want to maximize that to the best that we can. But till now, that just hasn't been the case. And it's not just the current administration. That's how it was from the very beginning. This has been very consistent. Yes, sir. One more.
You said that Miami did double or triple doses, possibly by next week.
Well, no. Let me be clear. I said they have the capacity. If we had unlimited doses dropped on Florida, they could do 2-3 times without question and many places in Florida could. Now, we expect to get an increase, but I wish we got 3 times as much, but not that. But what I told the mayor is, okay, we're going to look, once we get confirmation on that, we are going to beef up Miami. It'll be relatively modest because I think the overall increase is going to be modest, but the infrastructure that they have between their hospital systems, the county, and when the federal pharmacy program turns on, the Publix has been, we focused that on areas that didn't have as strong as infrastructure, and that's why Miami hasn't had the Publix, just because Jackson was doing a great job. We have a big drive-through site, all that. But you could see Walmarts in Dade County very soon. You could potentially see some of these other pharmacies turned on, and I think that that'll be a really big deal. So they have the capacity to do a lot, and if we were getting 500,000 or 1 million initial doses in a week, they would be able to rip through a lot of it. So they will, as long as we continue to see the increase that we expect, they will definitely get more. We're going to look at ways to do it that's going to be the most effective. But it's just when people, because sometimes people say, oh, well, the country isn't administering or isn't doing that. Part of that's reporting lag, but there's no lack of infrastructure to be able to get shots in arms. And I'm pretty much, you go up and down this state, people can do a lot more. Miami could do a lot more. Broward could do a lot more. Palm Beach is probably, they have 25% of their population 65 and older, but we dropped 67 Publix pharmacies. We put vaccine in for them. And so they've really done well over the last week or so, and probably per capita for the big counties, they probably got to be close to the top. But I think with Miami, we're looking at expanding Hard Rock. Maybe I'll have an announcement on that next week. We're also looking at how can we use the federal pharmacy program to provide more options in South Florida, particularly in Dade and Broward, and that'll be a good thing. And that'll be able to get. I mean, I did a search on the Google the other day about where are the Walmarts in Dade County, and I think from Florida City all the way up to Aventura, there's Walmart's pretty close in most parts of the county, which is a good thing. So stay tuned on that. But I just want to thank everybody for the effort here today. We're going to continue working with our houses of worship. I mean, look, when you're talking about a vaccine that is not 100%, people are not 100% on board with. I think most people are, but if there's folks who are vulnerable who should be taking it, these are the folks that they listen to. I mean, they're going to listen to people that they trust. They're not going to listen to some talking head on TV, or they're not going to listen to somebody wagging their finger at them. They're going to listen to the folks that they go to for guidance. And so I think that our faith leaders are playing a role that probably no other folks can be playing in terms of steering their flock to the vaccine. So I want to thank them very much. And we will have, hopefully, some good announcements for Miami-Dade next week. So thanks, everybody.
To the media that wants to stay and speak with some of the faith leaders, we will be around in the sanctuary, or if you prefer, outside as well. But if you do plan to leave, so that those who are coming for their vaccine appointments can take your parking space, feel free.
And in Spanish, when it's
Oh, please. I don't speak. Rabbi Guido.
Rabbi Cohen.
Rabbi Guido.
Aquí estamos si alguien quiere hablar en español. Y